All right, everyone get ready because today we're going deep into a Reddit post. And, well, it's from the Our Guy Cry subreddit. It's heartbreaking. It's thought-provoking. It's about a father going through a custody nightmare. A story a lot of people out there can probably relate to.
You know what's really interesting about this post is that it's not just, someone asking for help. This is a real look into how complicated family law can get, especially when emotions are running so high. Really makes you think about how prepared any of us are for situations like this.
You're right. Like, you read the post and the father's emotions just jump off the screen. He talks about his ex-wife not picking up their daughter from school, even texting him saying she was tired of their daughter. I mean, it's scary. You can practically feel his panic rising, worrying about being accused of kidnapping.
Yeah, and that's where things get really tricky legally. You see, in these types of situations, being proactive is super important. And the father's choice to call the police himself, that was actually a really smart move. It sets up a clear timeline right from the start and stops his ex-wife's side of the story from taking over.
I know it seems counterintuitive, right? Calling the cops when you're the one in trouble. But all the comments on his post, they're overwhelmingly on his side. Thousands of people, even adults who went through their parents' divorces, are sharing similar stories and advice.
And a lot of that advice boils down to a few key things. Document everything, especially those text messages, and talk to a lawyer right away. That's where having that police report becomes crucial. It's not just a he said, she said situation anymore.
Right. And one commenter even talked about how a law guardian helped them as a kid, kept them from having to visit an abusive parent. It makes you realize this isn't just about winning a legal battle. It's about what's best for the child in the long run.
Exactly. That's why it's so vital to know what your legal options are. Maybe going for full custody is the way to go in a case like this. But it's not a decision to make lightly. That's where a lawyer can really help you understand the whole picture.
It's kind of amazing how this Reddit thread turned into like a giant online support group for this dad. People are offering legal tips, sharing their own stories, and some even recommended books about dealing with high conflict people. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and one thing that stood out to me was how many people said this wasn't just about the dad protecting himself. It was about him showing his kids that he's there for them, someone they can count on.
It's a really good point. Even with all this craziness going on, he's being responsible. He's showing his kids he's committed to them.
Exactly. It's a powerful message. Like he's saying, I'm here for you, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe.
But there were also quite a few comments warning him that this could be a long, tough fight. Custody battles can be really hard on you emotionally and your bank account.
It's true. The legal system can be slow, expensive, and just emotionally draining. But the advice from everyone in that thread really highlights how important it is to have people supporting you and to take care of yourself during all of this.
Yeah, it's like a marathon, not a sprint. You need to pace yourself and have people cheering you on.
And that's why those online communities are so important. They give you a sense that you're not alone and offer practical advice. It can really make a difference.
I thought it was really touching how the dad responded to all the comments. He was so grateful for the support and admitted that he even cried reading some of them. And he seemed to understand how tough things could get.
Yeah, him being so open about his feelings makes this whole thing feel so real. It reminds us that behind all these legal battles are actual people going through some really intense emotions,
Yeah.
just trying to do what's best for their families.
It's easy to get lost in all the legal talk and courtroom drama, but at the end of the day, it's real lives we're talking about.
Yeah.
And how the kids are doing matters most.
Absolutely, and that's why this story is so powerful. Family law isn't just about some legal rules in a book. It's about real families, emotions, and how those decisions change people's lives.
It makes you think about how divorce and custody battles affect everyone, not just the parents, but the whole family and, of course, the kids.
And those effects can last for years, even into adulthood. The people who shared what it was like for them as children of divorce really drove that point home.
It's a good reminder that these aren't just isolated events. They shape families and people for a really long time.
And it shows how important it is for all of us to think about these issues carefully and with compassion. We need to support families going through these difficult times and understand what they're going through.
This deep dive has been intense. We started with anger and shock,
Yeah.
then this wave of support, and then the reality of what a legal battle means.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to see how one Reddit post spiked this huge conversation about families, legal systems, and how emotionally draining all this can be.
We've talked about what happened, how complicated custody battles can be, and the importance of getting a lawyer, having support, and taking care of yourself. but there's still a lot to discuss.
Right. In the last part of this deep dive, we'll look at some legal strategies the father could use, how therapists play a role in these custody cases, and the long-term impact this can have on families.
And we'll talk about what this whole story teaches us about dealing with complicated family situations and standing up for yourself and your kids. So we're back, and we're going even deeper into this Reddit post, trying to figure out what this dad can do next and what we can all take away from his story.
Yeah, a lot of people in the comments kept bringing up how important therapists are in situations like this. It's not just about legal strategy, it's about making sure everyone is okay emotionally, especially the kids.
Right, some were saying the daughter should have therapy to help her deal with all the stress of the custody battle. And some even said the dad should go too, for himself and maybe to help his case in court.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Shows you how connected the legal stuff and the emotional stuff can be. A judge might see a parent in therapy as a good sign, like they're taking responsibility and trying to be a better parent.
It's like showing you're doing everything you can, not just for you, but for your kid.
Exactly. And it goes back to something we talked about before, how dads are sometimes seen in family court. Even though things are better, there can still be bias. Maybe the judge isn't even aware of it. So taking steps like going to therapy can help with that.
This case really shows how important it is to know about those biases and to have a lawyer who really gets family law.
Absolutely. And it's not just about getting custody, it's about making a parenting plan that's truly best for the child, even if it means doing things differently.
One comment that really stuck with me said, "The best thing I ever did was get my kids out." It's hard to hear, but sometimes being apart, even though it hurts, is the best thing a parent can do.
It's a tough choice, right? You want to keep the family together, but you also have to protect the kids. And there's no easy answer. Every situation is different.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. We started with this one post on Reddit, and it's become this huge conversation about families, the legal system, and everyone's feelings.
It's a reminder that these aren't just cases or battles in court. These are real people, real families going through something really painful.
And it shows how important it is to know your rights, to get support, and to speak up for yourself and your kids. That's how you make it through something this difficult.
If there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's to not be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's from a lawyer, a therapist, or just people you know, you don't have to go through this alone.
And remember, even when things seem really bad, there's always hope. Things can get better. If this deep dive has made you think, we hope you'll subscribe to Voices of the Soul and check out our YouTube channel, Shauna Pullage, for more discussions like this. Thanks for listening.